What about Trump's new order for lower prescription drugs across the board? How will that impact healthcare stocks? Healthcare stocks wasn't affected today, but long term. And if you're not 100% sure about this, he has an He's going to sign an executive order to
Yeah.
lower prescription drugs,
Yeah.
right, across the board. Mark Cuban had actually talked about this before.
Yep.
Once again, you got to give credit when credit is due.
For
I think
sure.
if executed correctly, then this could be helpful to a lot of people that have prescription drugs that they're taking, but it's not helpful to the companies that actually provide these drugs.
Yeah.
So how's that going to play?
Yeah.
You got to give him credit. When I first saw this pop up, I'm like, it's clearly a remix of Cuban's idea, but it's an idea that the American public need as the economy is not doing as well as it could. I think the companies that have been holding on to legacy drugs and products and not innovating are going to get impacted. But I think it will cause a wave of innovation. I'm worried about Pfizer for sure. They've already been in a route for the last couple of years. I think Lilly will be okay. I think Novo will be okay. But most importantly, the people need price consideration, and there needs to be fair pricing. I mean, he made a great point. Like, why is the same drug in another country 80% cheaper? I'm like, I can't argue with that. Now, I think it's petty that he leveraged Cuban's idea, but if he's going to do it and it's going to get pricing down for everybody in the country, I'm definitely with this.
Yeah, I think the second part to what you're saying is key, right? Why is it 80% cheaper and it's manufactured here?
Here, yes.
Right, like, so how does that even make sense? So yeah, when I first heard the news, the first thing I thought was like, oh, a company like Lilly that's gonna affect them long term, right?
Yeah.
The AstraZenecas of the world, that's gonna affect them long term. Johnson and Johnson, CVS,
sure.
which we were talking about, right? In terms of pharmacies, like that affects long term business. Now, I believe he signed it today. He signed the executive order today. He had Dr. Oz there with him, and they were talking about American pricing. And it, again, I'm not mad at the idea.
It's a brilliant idea, bro.
I'm not mad at the idea. Most people, and from what I've been reading, is that the reason we saw, pre-market that those healthcare stocks were down was because of the announcement. When the market opened, people were like, well, how is he going to get this through? Right? Like, this still has to go through litigation. There'll be plenty of
there's going to be pressure from lobbying.
A lot of lobbyists are going to be involved. You're going to have to put this in front of the court. What will happen? And so we saw like a slight tick in some of the healthcare stocks. But I like the idea. Makes a lot of sense when you look at how much drugs cost here, right? Opposed to other places when it's being manufactured here, doesn't make sense. But healthcare is a big beast, man. It's a big beast, and it's a huge, huge industry. So we'll see how this plays out. Yeah.
Democrats, I want to let you know now, if he gets this prescription idea off and DeSantis get off that idea in Florida for no property taxes, wrap up the next election too. It's over with.
That I'm not mad at those ideas.
What? Two great ideas back to back.
Yeah, the property tax thing, I don't think is gonna happen. But it's a good idea.
It's a
good thing to champion, because you know that you really have no chance of actually making it happen, but why not champion it? And nobody's going to be against not paying property taxes. That's who would be against that?
No one.
Just say it. We're going to just throw it out there. Let's see.
But once again, give Trump credit, because
you got to give him credit for this.
He's doing some things that I think are beneficial for sure. His foreign policy, we'll talk about that on Wednesday. It's just, he once again, it's just some things I just can't champion. But
that's fair.
There's a lot of things that Joe Biden did that I didn't like either.
Fair.
Facts. Y'all forget to clip that up and put that in the comments.
Yeah.
Sure.
It makes no sense. When you think about the drug prices, it makes no sense.
Merck, you're done. I'm sorry. Merck been falling for 9 months straight. If this goes through, it's gonna be
Amgen, Bristol Myers, all these companies.
But HIMS, to everyone who kept bringing that up, it may benefit because you need a portal to, like, an affordable prescription portal. They may see some upside and benefit from that.
What about Amazon purchasing $84 million in AMD?
Listen, as soon as I said somebody needs to buy AMD, I didn't know it was going to be in this fashion, but well played by Amazon.
But so so that's one of these things when that's the headline, right? But
I
that's
know
not
it's the under.
it's
I
not
know.
technically what happened.
Yeah.
So Amazon's the acquisition of the $84 million stake in AMD wasn't a direct investment. It happened because AMD's acquisition of ZT Group International, which is a server manufacturer. So Amazon held equity stake in ZT
And
Group,
them. Yeah.
and then they received over 820,000 AMD shares as a part of a buyout, a stock buyout. So technically they didn't buy it, but because they had ownership in the company, they got
They still have the equity in the asset though, which I'm not mad at. And
I'm not
Amazon
mad
has
at
been
it
on a tear. Yeah.
because it says a couple things. Number one, when you, in terms of infrastructure, if we have a chip maker inside of our umbrella,
wheelhouse,
yeah, we don't have to rely on outside people anymore. We don't have
it's
to
the
go.
beginning of a great relationship.
It's a positive start to a great relationship.
That's how the pharmacy thing started, the health
Exactly.
side, and then they grew into the pharmacy space. They don't get enough credit because their profit margin is small, but they operate the way Buffett operates. They are looking to acquire like assets across the board. They shot up a lot today off of the news from Trump, but if their profit margin was a little bit wider, we would be having talks about like the greatest company of the last 10 or 15 years. The profit margins just in, but
You're talking about Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon.
Okay.
But them having them shares through this is going to bode well for them. And then I think eventually AMD will make a push up to the upside, but don't think that team isn't thinking about what they can do. Okay, historically, Amazon has had enough data to take a business over from someone else, allegedly, or improve it. You don't think they're sitting on 900,000 shares and not thinking about what they can do to improve AMD business while NVIDIA has been on this tear?
Yeah, it's the self-reliance play. Right? We saw Apple say, "Hey, we're not gonna use Intel anymore. We'll make our own chip."
Make our own chip. Yep.
Here comes the M1. Now here is AMD, right? Which is obviously we talked about where it stands inside the GPU space.
Yeah.
We know what GPUs mean for AI. Amazon said they're spending $100 billion on AI infrastructure. Well, some of that is going out to some of these hyperscalers, some of these manufacturers. If you got one in-house that you're working with directly, I like that. I like that. That says, okay, we're gonna start doing things our own way, right? We have multiple umbrellas that we can add AI efficiency to.
Yeah.
That is a nice proposition.
That's well played.
Yeah.